Imagine the chaos of a bustling city suddenly engulfed in flames, with families fleeing for their lives as the night sky turns blood red. It was October 8, 1871, in Chicago, a booming metropolis built mostly of wood, where a single spark would ignite one of the greatest disasters in American history. The Great Chicago Fire started small, in a humble barn on DeCoven Street owned by Patrick and Catherine O'Leary. Legend has it that their cow kicked over a lantern, but no one knows for sure. What mattered was the dry wind whipping through the streets, carrying embers like deadly messengers, turning the city into an inferno that would rage for 2 days and change everything. In the heart of the city lived the Sullivan family: John, a carpenter, his wife Mary, and their 3 young children, including little Annie, just 5 years old. That Sunday evening started like any other. John had returned from work, tired but content, as Mary prepared a simple supper of bread and stew. The kids played in the cramped wooden home, oblivious to the gathering storm. Suddenly, shouts echoed from outside. "Fire! Fire in the barn!" John rushed to the window and saw orange glows dancing in the distance. At first, he thought it was contained, but the wind howled fiercer, and soon flames leaped from building to building like a hungry beast. "We have to go now," John yelled, grabbing blankets and whatever valuables he could, a family Bible, some coins, and Annie's favorite doll. As the Sullivans burst out into the street, pandemonium reigned. Neighbors poured from their homes, some in nightclothes, clutching babies and heirlooms. Horses neighed in terror as wagons clogged the roads, people pushing carts loaded with furniture. The fire department arrived, but their hoses were no match for the blaze. Wooden sidewalks caught fire, and the flames jumped the Chicago River, defying all efforts to stop them. Mary held Annie tight, her heart pounding as ash rained down like black snow. "Stay close," she whispered, but the crowd surged, separating them momentarily. John fought through the throng, his face smeared with soot, calling out until he found them again. They headed east toward Lake Michigan, where thousands sought refuge in the cold waters. Not far away, the Ramirez family faced their own nightmare. Miguel, an immigrant from Mexico who worked in the lumber yards, lived with his pregnant wife Elena and their 2 sons in a small apartment near the stockyards. The fire's roar woke them like thunder. Miguel peered out and saw the skyline ablaze, flames towering higher than church steeples. "Dios mío," he muttered, bundling his family into coats. Elena, heavy with child, moved slowly, but fear gave her strength. They grabbed a few clothes and food, then joined the exodus. The streets were a mad rush, people screaming, bells clanging from fire engines that soon ran out of water. Embers ignited roofs ahead, forcing the Ramirezes to dodge falling debris. One son, young Pablo, tripped on a loose plank, scraping his knee, but Miguel scooped him up without stopping. "We keep going," he said firmly, his voice steady despite the terror. The fire spread relentlessly, consuming over 2,000 acres. Wooden homes, factories, and grand hotels like the Palmer House turned to ash in hours. The heat was unbearable, melting iron and twisting rails. Families like the Sullivans pushed on, their path lit by the Inferno's glow. John carried Annie on his shoulders as they reached the river's edge, but the bridges were jammed or already burning. "Jump!" someone yelled as a bridge collapsed behind them. They waded into shallow water, joining others who stood chest-deep in the lake, watching their city burn. Mary shivered in the October chill, but the flames' warmth battled the waves. "We'll make it," John promised, holding his family close as sparks flew overhead. For the Ramirezes, escape meant crossing to the north side, but flames blocked every turn. Miguel led them through alleys, avoiding the main streets where panic ruled. Elena gasped for breath, her hand on her belly, feeling the baby kick amid the turmoil. They passed a church where priests rang bells and offered shelter, but the fire encroached too fast. "To the cemetery," Miguel decided, recalling the open fields at Lincoln Park. There, amid gravestones, thousands huddled, rich and poor alike, sharing blankets and stories. The Ramirezes arrived exhausted, collapsing on the grass as the fire's distant roar echoed like a monster's growl. Elena wept softly, but Miguel comforted her. "We're alive. That's what counts." As night turned to day, the fire raged on, destroying landmarks like the courthouse and waterworks. Smoke choked the air, making it hard to breathe. The Sullivans, soaked and shivering on the lakeshore, witnessed boats ferrying people to safety across the water. A kind stranger shared bread, reminding them of humanity amid horror. Little Annie clung to her doll, whispering, "When will it stop?" John didn't know, but he told tales of brave firefighters to distract her. By Monday, rain finally fell, a merciful downpour that tamed the blaze after it had claimed 300 lives and left 100,000 homeless. In the aftermath, families like the Sullivans and Ramirezes surveyed the ruins, blackened skeletons of buildings stretching for miles. John found work rebuilding, turning tragedy into opportunity. Mary started a small sewing business from a tent, her spirit unbroken. The Ramirezes welcomed their new daughter days later, naming her Esperanza, Hope, in a makeshift camp. Miguel joined the reconstruction crews, his hands calloused but his resolve strong. Chicago rose from the ashes, stronger with brick and stone, a testament to resilience. Yet, the true heroes were the ordinary families who escaped with nothing but their lives and loved ones. They ran through flames, crossed rivers, and sheltered in graveyards, proving that in the face of disaster, survival comes from quick thinking, unbreakable bonds, and sheer will. The Great Chicago Fire wasn't just about destruction. It was about the unbreakable human spirit that rebuilds from the embers. And so, the city that burned became the phoenix of the Midwest, forever changed but eternally enduring.